Okay, here's a little breakdown of the data from the experimentation and testing I've done on this dehumidifier. At the top, I have listed the 3 refrigerants that we've used. R410A, which is the original unit's gas, R290, aka propane, and R152A, or duster spray. So for 410, in a system that is not freezing up the evaporator, we should see approximately 100 psi on the low side. That's a 32-degree evaporator. For R290, that pressure is right around 55, 56 psi, which is also very, very similar to R22. I believe that's about 60 psi. And then R152A, low side pressure for 32 degrees is right around 25 psi, which is very, very similar to R12 and even R134A. So the original compressor of that unit was 4.75 cc's, so I just rounded up to 5. But that gave a rated capacity from the manufacturer's data of 4,000 BTUs under air conditioning conditions, which are 45-degree evaporator and 130-degree condensing temperature. The new compressor is 10 cc's, so effectively it's about double the size, double the volume of displacement. So it'll pump twice as much gas through it per revolution of the unit. That compressor used for R22, R290 pressure levels is about a 6,000 BTU rating at the same air conditioning conditions. Capacity ratings vary drastically based on the temperature and pressure of your suction gas and also your condensing temperature or your high side pressure. Compressors are all about volume and pressure of the gas. They take in low pressure gas and they output high pressure gas. And that displacement is fixed per revolution. So a high pressure gas coming in on the low side is more dense. There's more gas compressed at a higher pressure for R410, for example, than there is for R152A. So each revolution of that compressor with R410 essentially takes a bigger bite or a bigger chunk of gas, more mass because it's compressed. That's why you can have very small compressors, very small plumbing for R410A because it's even at the low side, it's very compressed and quite dense in mass flow because of that, its operating pressure. So the 10 cc's and the R290 at 56 psi, it doesn't give us double the volume or output in BTU because the pressure is not quite half. So it's a trade-off. And it's not a direct relationship. There's a lot more that goes on that I don't even understand, but you can kind of see how it kind of works. So now we get to the R152A, and its low side is 25 psi. So it's a quarter of the pressure on the low side. We're still taking that 10 cc bite per revolution of suction gas, but it gives us less capacity because we're flowing less quantity in mass of refrigerant through the compressor. So now we're down to 3,000, 3,250 BTU, depending on what you look at. So this explains why, as we get to the second section, the output of each unit is pretty much directly corresponding to the capacity of the unit with the compressor and the gas that's in it. And it also obviously will change the efficiency based on kind of how the system balances together. So the new unit, the Frigidaire, its efficiency is 55 ounces per kilowatt hour, based on my testing. Doesn't mean that's what it's supposed to be, but in what I've done shows it to put out that quantity of moisture per kilowatt of electricity. Or said a different way, its dehumidification capacity is 25 ounces per hour in my conditions. When I was testing it with the R290 and the new compressor, the efficiency was less at 49 ounces per kilowatt hour because of essentially the oversized compressor and just not being a well-balanced system. But it actually output more water at 28 ounces per hour. So we got more BTU dehumidifying essentially more water out of the air, but it was taking a lot more energy to do it because of the loss in efficiency. And then the R152A further goes down in efficiency actually at a little less than 43 ounces per kilowatt. But we take a big drop in output down to 17 ounces per hour because we've cut our BTU down by almost half. So the inefficiency comes from essentially the large compressor motor doing very little work. The compressor is going to have to run a certain amount of amps just to spin itself under no load conditions, and that is basically wasted energy. So we take that and then only add a small load to it. The kind of the wasted energy proportion is larger than it should be compared to the actual work that it's doing. So we take a drop on the efficiency of the unit. That's just kind of a little rundown of how the numbers shake out and how the refrigerant and the pressures of the refrigerant really relate to how the compressors are sized and then the BTU output. There's a lot of science behind it. Like I said, a lot of it I don't even understand, but it's pretty fascinating on how it works, and we just keep learning. So hope you enjoyed this little rundown, and feel free to ask questions. Have a good one.